I want to thank you all for your interest in the project and attending today. We met with the public about a year ago, and since then we continue to make great progress forward. This week we'll be hosting several public meetings to update everyone on the project and answer any questions that you may have. You will see here an outline of today's presentation. I will introduce some of our project team. Scott, our project manager, will provide a project overview. We will touch on some new items and refinements since we last met, talk about the project schedule. We will discuss next steps and where the project is going, and then we will talk about how we plan to keep everyone informed in the future. Because this is virtual, please keep your volume turned up. We are not able to see you or hear you. Online questions will be handled through a virtual podium, which I'll touch on very shortly. We will have a question and answer session following this presentation. The virtual podium, at the end of the presentation, the podium will be enabled. This will allow you to submit questions or comments. A screen like this shown here will be present, and you will click on the join the podium button, which when it turns blue. You can then submit your question and we'll get to as many as we can. If we do not get to your question, a project team member will follow up to you very soon. So I'd like to introduce our project team. Tom Buchholz, who is our region director, Chad DeGrave, who is our deputy region director, Kurt Peters, who is our project development manager, Eric Witt, myself, is the 41 corridor project supervisor. Scott Ebel is our corridor design project manager. Brian Lurst is our construction project manager and a segment project manager. Kyle Tremmel is a segment project manager. Tim Verhagen is a segment project manager, and Missy Cook is our communications manager. And Scott, I'll hand it off to you and start the presentation.
All right, thank you, Eric, and welcome again, everyone. Appreciate your time in joining us this evening to hear about the project. Start by doing an overview of the I-41 project, of what's involved, and then continue into the updates. The I-41 project is going to expand 23 miles of I-41 main line from 4 lanes to 6 lanes from roughly the Highway 96 or Wisconsin Avenue in the town of Grand Chute or City of Appleton area up through County Highway F or Shoring Road in the town of Lawrence, City of De Pere area. The project is also going to be constructing auxiliary lanes along I-41 between most of the closely spaced interchanges that exist along the corridor. We'll also be constructing a collector distributor system of roadways between County E or Ballard Road and the 41-441 system interchange area. The project will also be doing work at all of the interchanges along the corridor. As part of the project, most of these interchanges will be reconstructed. The Highway 15, Highway 47, and County Highway E interchanges will be reconstructed as diverging diamond interchanges. The 41-441 system interchange will be reconstructed with higher speed maneuver flyover type ramp movements. We will be making a little bit more select improvements at the Highway N, Highway 55, and Highway J interchanges with some additional detail about N and J to come in some future slides here. We'll be reconstructing the County U interchange and the County Highway S interchange as roundabout interchanges. And we will be constructing a brand new interchange near South Bridge Road in coordination with Brown County and their Southern Bridge Connection corridor. We'll also be making a number, or replacing most of the overpasses that exist along the project today. Capitol Drive, French Road, Holland Road, Vandenbroek, Buchanan, and Rose Hill. Most of these bridge overpasses were constructed back in the 1960s. They've got things like piers along the shoulders that we need to get out of the way in order to reconstruct the main line of the highway. We also will be making other improvements as part of the overall project, including resurfacing the 3 park and ride lots that exist along the corridor at County Highway E, County Highway N, and County Highway S. Constructing a new salt shed in the area of the Outagamie County Highway Department campus, kind of by Holland Road and 441. Additional lanes of pavement, predominantly in Outagamie County, require additional salt capacity in order to treat during the winter. We'll also be constructing a new combined safety and weight enforcement facility in Northeast Region State Patrol headquarters, replacing the existing weight enforcement facility right near the County Highway U interchange. In terms of the overall project schedule and where we are, We're about midway or a little past midway through 2023. We're in the middle of our design progress for the project. Starting to work through a lot of the details in terms of traffic staging, traffic management, things like that. We're starting our real estate acquisition process in earnest right now. We've got utility coordination that's beginning for our earliest work to begin 2024, and construction is slated to begin in 2024. And I'll have additional detail on what you can see in 2024 for construction in a future slide. Do want to talk through some of the refinements and design changes that have been made on the project since we were out here last summer with these types of meetings. Since then, we've made some refinements to the 441-41 system interchange. We've added some additional work at the County N interchange and the County J interchange. We've made some changes at the County U interchange. We have identified locations for most of our stormwater ponds and stormwater features along the corridor. We've updated our wetland impacts that will be needed as part of doing the work for the project. And I'll also have a little bit of update on our noise analysis since the last meeting that was held last year. So at the 441 system interchange, we've made some updates to lower costs and reduce right-of-way impacts, basically by eliminating a bridge, eliminating some retaining walls and lowering retaining walls, and eliminating some larger fills that were part of the original layout for the system interchange that we presented last year. Mostly this has been done by eliminating a braided ramp configuration along southbound 441. This detail or this slide shows this in a little bit more detail, maybe a little difficult to still see, but on the kind of the lower half of the screen where we have the southbound exit ramp to County 00, on the previously shown design, there's kind of a crisscrossing of those ramps between the access to 00 and the access to 441. We no longer need that crisscross based on some other changes that we were able to make. So we've eliminated the need for that bridge. No changes in access to 00, to 441, to Ballard Road, or no changes at all to the currently existing local access as part of this change, really just a cost-saving feature. We've also made some updates to the plans for County Highway N in order to help future-proof, make sure that it's going to address future operations through the County N interchange area. Basically adding in dual left turn lanes for the exit ramps from 41 onto County Highway N, and adding additional left turn capacity on top along County Highway N itself, including across the bridge. So there will be some bridge rehab work. There will be some increasing of the pavement area. And because we're all kind of touching a number of areas for that work, we're going to replace the pavement that's up there today on that section, just so that we don't have, I'll say, a bit of a pavement maintenance nightmare in the future where we've got pavement of different vintage all throughout the area. A similar change at County Highway J, where we're making some improvements in order to increase the capacity of the roundabouts that are out there today to handle kind of the oversized, overweight, larger freight types of vehicles that do go through this corridor on a pretty regular basis. Also making a few grade changes, so that will be new pavement that will be constructed as part of the project as well. At County Highway U, we previously had shown the roundabout interchange here, but we've added another roundabout on that southern frontage road intersection where previously that was a stop control intersection. I also made a little bit of change to access to French Road further to the north, adding that roundabout at that east frontage road connection in order to allow access to both the north and the south. This was a change that was done in coordination with Village of Wrightstown, Outagamie County, and Brown County to match up with the proposed planned use of or land use in the future here. We've also identified additional stormwater ponds from our initial environmental phase of the project, identifying up to 22 stormwater pond locations based on additional design and where the water is all flowing, and trying to meet our stormwater quality standards that we're required to for our permitting with Wisconsin DNR. Some of these ponds may end up going away, but we don't anticipate any more than the 22 ponds that will be required. We're continuing to work through some of the details in terms of the locations and exact configurations of the ponds with Wisconsin DNR. We've also made some updates to our anticipated wetlands that would be impacted as part of the project. And during the environmental phase, we'd identified 37 acres of permanent impact and 14 acres of temporary impact. Based on design updates, we now anticipate that will be up to 76 acres of permanent impact with 7.5 acres of temporary impact. We are working with Wisconsin DNR and Army Corps of Engineers to try to minimize these impacts as best as we can. A lot of these impacts are related to changes in ditch grades throughout the corridor that we've made, just trying to get the water to flow at where it needs to go. Some have been for stormwater treatment and water quality standards and trying to meet that with our stormwater ponds. And also some are due to improvements for safety and traffic operations at crossroads and interchanges, or small amounts of additional work that we're doing at some of our underpass locations with local design coordination. This is a little bit of a snapshot of the 15 interchange and the previous design versus the current or updated design, just to kind of give a flavor of the types of changes to wetland impacts that we're discussing here. We've, based on other design constraints, needed to move the stormwater pond location, which resulted in some additional impacts. We identified the need for an additional pond, which resulted in some additional impacts. And there were also additional ditch grading impacts that were originally anticipated to be temporary, but were later confirmed to be needing to be permanent, mostly based on a change in grade. Whereas an existing ditch that gets impacted, or existing wetland ditch that gets impacted and goes back in at that same elevation may not be a permanent impact, but oftentimes if we need to raise the elevation of that ditch in order to get water to flow where we need it to go for treatment or other things, that will result in a permanent impact. Also, a little bit of an update on our noise analysis. So we're currently completing a confirmation of the noise analysis that was done during the environmental assessment phase, optimizing the details of the barriers, making minor adjustments to accommodate specific site conditions, evaluating options for cost efficiency, things like that. And also just updates from the design overall has had minor changes. So just wanted to make sure that that's all up to date. As a reminder, 6 previously proposed noise barriers and 1 existing noise barrier were determined to be reasonable and feasible during the environmental assessment phase. That noise analysis continues to be validated based on our final design updates. Those previously identified new reasonable and feasible barriers were predominantly located in the Appleton and Grand Chute area. We had 5 new barriers that were identified in that area, along with an additional barrier closer to Highway 55 on the south side of 41. In terms of what's coming up on the noise analysis and the next steps for outreach, we intend to finalize that design and complete the confirmation of the noise analysis by the end of the summer. Early in the fall, we anticipate sending out noise barrier ballots to the benefited property owners and receptors in the area in order to vote on and confirm whether or not they want the barrier to be constructed as part of the project. When or after we send those ballots out to everyone, we also be scheduling in-person meetings to go through the ballot information, go through the updated noise analysis results, really walk through that in more detail. And then early in the winter, we anticipate the ballots being due, tabulating the votes for the proposed barriers before they can be, 100% included as part of the project. Recognizing that it's very likely these barriers are going to be voted to be included as part of the project, we're still moving forward on the design side in order to make sure that that ballot or that voting process isn't going to be any kind of hold up, but that voting process is required as part of our noise policy. We also have additional noise resources available on the project website. Encourage you to go out and look at that as you're able. This is an area of the website that as we move through that voting process, we will continue to update with new information. There's also been coordination in terms of some of the corridor-wide aesthetics or looks of the project, predominantly in the Outagamie County areas, but also extending a little bit into the Brown County area. We've been working with various municipal staff in order to come up with a no local cost option to be used for most of our mainline overpass structures. There's a rendering of that on the screen right now. I want to stress this is something that will involve no local cost. Most CSS or community sensitive solution or aesthetic additions to a project now do require local cost participation. I think there's a recognition from a lot of the municipalities that they did not necessarily want to pursue those local costs for most of the project or most of the locations along the corridor. But we do have one bridge at the new south, or one set of bridges at the South Bridge interchange. This would be the new interchange to be constructed as near just south of the Shearing Road in the De Pere Lawrence areas. This bridge is very close to the previous US 41 project, so there was a desire on the part of the communities there to have an aesthetic that looked similar to the work that was previously done. So there is a little different look here for this bridge that is being done with local cost participation. Stormwater side, mentioned before the number of additional ponds that we're adding as part of the project. We continue to coordinate with municipalities on our drainage designs and the ponds for the project, and a number of locations where we're proposing a new pond at an area. There's also municipal water that's that would be flowing through that pond. So oftentimes these ponds are an opportunity for a joint benefit for both for our permitting and then also for that municipality's permitting with the Wisconsin DNR and their stormwater requirements. Our real estate process is continuing in earnest. Early buyouts were completed as part of the environmental phase of the project. The right-of-way plats for the project are, in some cases or some locations, complete, and others will be completed through the end of the summer and into the fall. We've got approximately 300 parcels that are being impacted as part of the project. As I said, that acquisition process is really starting to kick up. We've got appraisals that have been in the works. Some property owners along the corridor have already been contacted, with appraisal information. May start to see offers come to them very soon. But this is also a process that's going to take a couple of years to entirely play out, just because of the large number of parcels that are required. They will kind of, say, lead the construction, and that construction won't all start right up away. It'll be a year by year thing. So the real estate will kind of follow suit. It'll be a couple of year process to get all the real estate acquired for the project. Transportation management planning and coordinating those traffic impacts with stakeholders along the corridor, including local road operations, county highway, local planning and public works departments, transit, bike and pedestrian, outreach, county parks, school districts, chambers of commerce, area schools, busing, things like that. We want to coordinate the impacts of the traffic that we expect throughout the construction of the project with these area stakeholders. One of the tools that we use to help do this is looking at what we call our travel demand model, basically a model of all the traffic that's in the area, and that we can use to analyze scenarios where, say, we need to shut down the 47 interchange. Where is that traffic going to be diverted? Can we expect increases in traffic that could cause problems for the current system? Try to analyze those and investigate any need for temporary mitigation. We also will be working on our transportation management planning and EMS coordination, working with State Patrol, County Sheriff's Department, local police and fire, with coordination meetings to be held with those groups prior to construction, and then especially leading into construction with the incident management for the project. We'll be organizing incident responder stakeholder meetings during construction. We'll have an incident management plan that will be developed to help coordinate the work zones among the separate individual construction contracts that will be going on, with a couple points of emphasis to kind of coordinate that response among the agencies to optimize the response times, making sure to try to keep the lanes of traffic open, especially during peak travel times, recognizing that when there is an incident, it's to everyone's benefit to clear that work zone as quickly as possible. And maybe there's some additional cleanup that can happen after, during off-peak travel times when there's not as much traffic on the roadway, because really it's that trying to prevent those secondary or tertiary incidents that help us and help everybody move through the corridor safely. So that incident responder effort is going to continue this fall, kind of leading up into construction. And then once construction starts, there will be regular after action reviews, monthly responder meetings, and incident management plan updates as need to be. Other activities that will be going on through 2023 still this year: ongoing design, ongoing field work, investigations, soil borings that are taking place right now. You've probably seen, many of you may have seen drums along the median of I-41. Notice that the median has recently been mowed. We're doing some soil boring and then soil borings in the median this summer in order to characterize the material that's in the median right now. Also doing some additional archaeological work that's mostly been completed already this year, and then kind of routine survey updates, utility survey updates, things like that. And then utility relocations are another activity that we anticipate to start later this year. Looking ahead in terms of our 2024 priority projects that you're going to start to see our focus kind of shift towards. Next year, we're going to be letting a project or bidding out a project for Capitol Drive and the 15 interchange. That's one of that earliest priorities. And then also Rose Hill Road or County Highway CC, which was the bridge along I-41 that was struck last year, I think around August. That's had a kind of a lane restriction or lane tightening up on top. So we want to get to that bridge as quickly as we can once construction starts. Later in 2024, County Highway interchange will become a priority, and the early fill and Southbridge connector frontage road project to start to lay the foundation for the new Southbridge interchange will be that next priority. And then also the replacing the weight enforcement facility and the constructing the new Northeast Region State Patrol headquarters. So again, these are those projects that we anticipate for 2024. The Capitol Drive overpass and the Rose Hill Road overpass anticipated to take place mostly in the spring, early summer. The Highway 1500 interchange work could potentially start later into 2024. We expect that to mostly go into 2025. The County N interchange anticipated for the later in the summer and then fall of 2024. That Southbridge early fill contract work. 2024 through 2025, and then that weight enforcement facility, which we anticipate will be a 2-year project, constructing both the building and then the new pavement area around that weight enforcement facility. In terms of the overall mainline highway work, we don't expect the mainline work to commence until 2025. Right now, the current plan for work on mainline is to start, say, 2 segments of mainline, one furthest to the south from roughly Highway 96 up to Lyndale Drive, and then another further to the north from roughly a little north of County JJ up to Miners Way, and the area in front of the weight enforcement facility in County Highway U. The next priority after that will be the section from Lyndale Drive to Mead Street in the Appleton Grand Chute area, and then Holland Road to County JJ in the Little Chute and Kaukauna area. Followed then by the Mead Street to Holland Road area. This is the area that also contains the 441 system interchange. We expect that to be at least a 2 or 3 year window of construction. And then lastly, from Miners Way up to County Highway F. Now, this is subject to change. We may break some of these pieces and do smaller pieces of work earlier. Also want to stress that all of these mainline contracts are going to be multi-year projects. These are going to be at least 2 seasons of work. So, for instance, we're not going to go totally finish the work from 96 to Lyndale before we start Lyndale to Meade. There's going to be overlapping work where you're going to see, work in multiple projects at the same time. That weight enforcement facility and new State Patrol headquarters. Again, this will be replacing the existing Fond du Lac Post facility that State Patrol uses. It's an aging building, so it makes sense to co-locate with the weight enforcement facility. Be constructing a 300 to 400 foot tall communications tower and a 60 to 80 foot tall auxiliary tower as part of this project, and that is expected to begin in 2024 as well. Some other department work that's going to be taking place in 2023 and 24. This year, we've got a bridge preventative maintenance project going on along 441, as well as a pavement rehabilitation project work going on, doing some concrete repair work along 441 between US 10 and 41, kind of the north junction with 41. We also have a bridge replacement project going on along Highway 125 or College Avenue between I-41 and Blue Mound, and a County 00 or improvement project that's a local program project taking place along County Highway 00 between 441 and French Road. In 2024, there'll also be adjacent work to the 41 project along I-41 further to the south between Breezewood Lane and Highway 15. As well as some work along 96 from Clarabelle Street to County JJ, doing some resurfacing, and also some utility relocation work that's going to be happening from Blue Mound Road to Badger Avenue, again along Highway 96 or Wisconsin Avenue, in anticipation of a department project that's going to be done in 2026. We also have our freeway service vehicles that are roaming the project area right now. These are vehicles that are sponsored by Geico. They're basically tow trucks that are especially equipped to help clear the roadway as quickly as possible. If you run out of gas on the highway or get a flat tire, something like that, you need a battery jump start. It's a vehicle that can pull up, hopefully help get you moving a little bit sooner than having to call and organize a tow truck, or basically try to get you off the roadway as quickly as possible. Try to do what we can to prevent those secondary incidents that can happen even when there's just a routine car that's pulled over on the side of the road. We also plan to continue our outreach. We want to try to be that most trustworthy and credible source of information about the project to the communities. We also want to make sure that we're seeking your input at our project milestones and really throughout the life of the project. We want to also work to keep you informed, whether that be through social media on Facebook or Twitter, or through the project website. Definitely encourage everyone to visit the project website. It's got a very nice user interface. It's very clean compared to, say, the more standard project website that you may have seen on other projects. A lot of great information about the project is there. You can also submit any comments that you have about the project or questions about the project. We'll try to get back to you within a few days of any questions that do get submitted. You can sign up for project emails if you're not already on our email invite list. We also have business outreach that we're going to be starting to kick up, especially this fall and ahead of some of our bigger impacts next year with the overpass work at Capitol and CC, and then also especially at County Highway N, with N being our first interchange closure, trying to identify those specific business needs that is can definitely happen when we start to close roads, close interchanges. We know that businesses in particular can be heavily affected by the road work. We don't want to sugarcoat that there's going to be those effects that happen, we want to work with the businesses to help manage those impacts as best as we can. We have this, we're in this together business coordination website that we would encourage businesses to go on and learn a little bit more about, tips and tools and resources for businesses during construction. And certainly as construction starts, the project staff will be able to help businesses in the area answer questions, what's coming, learn about what's coming up in terms of traffic impacts, where can temporary signs be placed to help inform customers about access to businesses, things like that. Also look forward to hearing from you after the meeting. You should be able to comment after the meeting. For the in-person meetings that we will be holding later this week, there'll be paper copies or paper comment forms available. And then again, definitely encourage you to submit comments shortly after the meeting or any questions, but really anytime you can submit comments through the project website. And with that, we definitely want to hear your feedback this evening. You should be able to now click that blue join the podium button. You should be able to submit any comments or questions. If we're not able to get to your questions tonight, either because we run out of time or because it's kind of a location specific question that may not be appropriate for the larger audience, we will definitely get back to you following the meeting within a day or two. And one of us on the project team will answer your question. Just as a reminder, we do have additional in-person meetings that are scheduled tomorrow evening for Brown County at Hemlock Creek Elementary School in De Pere Lawrence area, and at the DJ Bordini Center in Outagamie County on July 27th for the Outagamie County residents. Thank you, everyone. We will move to questions shortly. We're going to kind of sort out what we have coming in for questions, and
while we wait on some questions to come in, before we start, I just want to recognize some officials that are in attendance. State Senator Andre Jock is in attendance, and Eric Gebhardt from Congressman Gallagher's office is also in attendance. So I'd like to thank them all for attending today. I think we'll just kind of here and wait to see what comments come in, and like I said, submit those comments to the podium, and we'll try to get them answered.
in recognizing that there is a delay with when comments come in and how they get filtered to Eric and I speaking here, we'll give it a couple minutes before just to make sure, and then that'll happen as we get questions. We'll make sure that we give a little bit of a buffer there.
All right, so first question coming in is the interchange at I-41 and Highway 47 being reconstructed? And if so, the timeline for such?
To answer that question, yes, the interchange with I-41 and Highway 47 is being reconstructed. That's going to be one of our diverging diamond interchanges. The current time frame for, again, this is could move, but currently the time frame for the 47 interchange is sometime in 2026.
All right, next question is, how are the residents living on West Northland Court impacted by the diverging diamond interchange?
I think I will, to answer the question, I think I need to bring that up, but really there shouldn't be any impact to, let's say, non-system residents from the construction of the diverging diamond interchange. Really shouldn't change your access that you have there today or in the future from what is there today.
I think it may just be that it's going to be impacted by the construction. You might have some closures and different things, but no permanent change.
Yeah, certainly as we, really across the board with all of our interchange work, we're going to have, especially when we're going to need to reconstruct the bridges over I-41, those interchanges are going to need to be closed down to some degree or another. So that's going to be the big traffic impact to area residents and businesses when we're doing the work at these interchanges.
And there'll be lots of outreach prior to that, getting out there when that's going to be, how long it's going to be, and alternate routes. So to come on that. Next question is, what is going to happen to the French Road overpass?
Yeah, so the French Road overpass will be reconstructed as part of the work. It will still be in place. It's not going away. It just needs to be extended because of the other changes that we're making at the system interchange. That overpass basically needs to be a longer bridge than what's out there today. So that's going to be the change. It will be replaced. So there will be a time when French Road will be out of service because of that, but it will be replaced as part of the project.
All right. Do you have a map of the 300 parcels that have been identified for real estate acquisition, and how are you contacting impacted owners about that?
Yeah, so right now we're putting together what we call our right-of-way plats, basically the legal descriptions of the right-of-way impacts. We do have displays that are available. I'm not going to go through these individually right now. But we do have real estate impacts that are part of the project that are available. These displays will be put up on our project website that can be viewed by anyone that jumps onto the website to take a look. At the more granular level, yeah, we're putting together these right-of-way plats, identifying all of the specific parcel impacts, and then where we have these impacts, Wisconsin DOT or consultants that have been hired by Wisconsin DOT will be contacting property owners in order to go through the process of appraising that impact, what that is, and then going through getting an offer for that impacted parcel. So there is a very large effort related to the real estate impacts and working with the impacted property owners on that, working through that real estate acquisition process. If you have specific questions about that real estate process, I definitely encourage you to either attend the in-person meetings that we have either tomorrow or Thursday. We will have dedicated real estate staff that are at those meetings that can answer a lot of the specific questions about the real estate process. Or follow up with us after the meeting here tonight, and we can have somebody get in touch with you.
All right, and next question, at what point in the project will the noise barriers be put in place?
So as I said, we need to go through this voting process to confirm that the noise barriers are wanted by the neighborhoods that they're going to be or would be benefiting. Anticipating that the neighborhoods are all going to vote for the barriers to be put in place. They will be constructed as part of the overall roadway work. So typically how we will be, say, constructing the main line of 41 is flip traffic over to one side of the roadway, construct the other side of the roadway, and then flip traffic back, construct the other side of the roadway. So basically when that side of the roadway is down for construction, that's when we would typically anticipate the noise barriers to be constructed as part of that same closure. You don't have traffic on that side of the roadway. The contractor can get in there and do that work a lot easier. So we typically just include that as part of that roadway work.
Who is covering the cost of the noise barriers?
The cost of the noise barriers is just covered as part of the overall project costs, similar to, no different than any other roadway cost or bridge cost as part of the project.
Next question, what exactly is happening with the Capitol Drive Bridge, and how will the elevation change into Rifle Range Road? Thanks for the info and very informative.
Sure. I can even real quickly because that's happens to be one of the, maybe it's not on our displays, so I apologize. But very briefly, we will have a display up on the website that shows Capitol Drive, but the Capitol Drive Bridge will be replaced. It will need to get longer because I-41 underneath is going to be wider. It will have the additional lanes underneath. So because it's getting longer, it also needs to get a little bit higher. So there will be some raising of Capitol Drive on the approach to the bridge. We are otherwise not planning to change the access to Rifle Range Road from Capitol Drive. That intersection will basically be very similar to what it is today. When the project is done, it will just be, as I said, a little bit higher.
And I think we kind of maybe answered this one, but what is the timeline for the new sound barriers? But I think maybe just looking maybe for a maybe year or timeline.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, the time barrier or the time frame for the noise barriers is really going to be when is that section of mainline 41 also being worked on. So, you know, as I said, that some of that first priority for mainline is going to be that work from 96 to Lindale. That section north of Capitol Drive on the northbound direction will have a new noise barrier. So you would see that being constructed as part of that project. And as we go along mainline, where we have that noise barrier, will be part of that mainline work.
Next question. Just wondering if you're taking into account the 2025 NFL draft and it's possible 300,000 visitors in late April and early May.
Yes, we are. Thank you for the comment. That's a great one. We're definitely aware of the 2025 draft. There will be a concerted effort amongst the project staff and Northeast Region Wisconsin DOT staff, and I'm sure other DOT staff, to ensure that the work on I-41 and other Wisconsin DOT work is not having a negative effect on the ability of people to move around and during the draft time in 2025. We anticipate most of our projects probably aren't going to start to too much of a degree until after that takes place in 25.
There will be work going on,
yeah,
but we will be
that work on the main line is what I'm talking
about. Yep. The next question is, will the noise reduction grooves in the road follow the entire new span of the highway?
I think this refers to how lately when we construct mainline concrete pavement, we put the tining on the roads, and the tining has just kind of a random groove pattern, and hoping that mitigates the noise that comes from that. Should be the same. So similar type of pavement work that was done recently on 41 or US 41 up in Brown County or down in Oshkosh should be very similar. Definitely, probably in this area at least, looking more towards like what was done recently on 441 in terms of what that, say, the surface of the concrete pavement itself is going to look like and feel like to the area residents in terms of noise.
All right. Next question is, thanks for the update. Any chance you could please give a quick update on Southbridge Road to the Fox River and the new bridge coming, real estate purchases and tentative bridge construction?
Well, I can speak very shortly to just that we are coordinating with Brown County on the work on their adjacent, pieces of that overall corridor in the Brown County area. We're working with them on, where we are constructing the new Southbridge interchange, working with them on their, say, pieces to both the east and the west, so that when we have that interchange open, they also have those connecting pieces also complete, so that they're not building pieces that don't lead to an interchange. We're not opening a brand new interchange that doesn't lead to anywhere. So we are working and coordinating with the county on that work. As to the broader, say, Southern Bridge Connector corridor and the time frame for that work, I'm going to defer to the county. Encourage you to, I know they have a website that has some updated information. I think they recently also held a public meeting to talk about that corridor in a little bit more detail. So refer to either the county website or to get in touch with the county personnel that would have more information about that work.
Just a little update from our PM that kind of works on that segment. I-41 interchange, will be built by WISDOT, and that'll be completed by the end of 2026. So the interchange will be complete by that point. Then the construction that the county will be in charge of they're looking to be anticipated to be completed by 2030. And they'll be starting their real estate near the new interchange that we're building, and will continue through 2023. So they're starting their work along with ours, and they have their own schedules and times, like Scott is saying. So we encourage you to visit that, but that's kind of the high level where they're at. But outside of the interchange, that is all county.
And maybe I'll also add that at our in-person meeting tomorrow at Hemlock Creek Elementary, there will be Brown County staff that are planning to attend that meeting if there are specific questions about the kind of Southbridge bigger picture project.
Sure. So this next question was, I apologize, I briefly lost connection at the end of the rough project schedules. Can you please show the 2025 and later slide again, please?
Sure, I can back up real quickly. I apologize to everyone as I skip through the. All right, so yep, so roughly in 2025 is when we anticipate starting mainline work, starting at the southern end of the project from 96 to Lindale Drive, and then further north from like a little bit north of County J, roughly around County JJ up to Miners Way.
Yeah. All right. Next question is, will 41 ever be shut down for bridge overpass installations, etc.? And if how long? Overnight, several hours? Question mark. So just kind of how long do we think stuff like that would be?
Yeah, I mean, there will need to be, in most cases, I'll say directional closures over, you know, for things like bridge demolition, setting girders, things like that. You know, sometimes we do have to have very temporary shutdowns of 41. A lot of that, you know, this isn't going to be work that we're going to be doing during the day at all. During the day, we're pretty well committed to maintaining 4 lanes of traffic or 2 lanes of traffic in each direction through the day and during peak hours of traffic. This is work that would be happening, you know, overnight, over a weekend, things like that. Recognizing how important and how much volume of traffic uses 41, we try to limit the need to close 41 itself. We're really not trying not to the extent that we can.
There are a few questions in here that are property specific, and we'll reach out to those people individually to answer those questions at a smaller scale. So I'll skip to a couple other questions here. Will the I-41, 441 interchange portion be primarily evening closures? For the interchange, yeah.
Sure, and again, yeah, I mean, in terms of closures along 41 itself, those would be more evening closures. We do anticipate that as we get into the 441 system interchange reconstruction as a whole, there may need to be longer duration ramp closures that take place. We haven't worked through the staging yet of exactly how we're going to build that, the order we're going to build those ramp movements, and all of those details. But we do anticipate that we're going to need to close some of those movements as we construct the interchange. And that's why I mentioned that, you know, that the tool like the traffic demand model and the diversion analysis, because we recognize that, you know, as you shut down the ability for traffic going north on 441 to northbound 41, for instance, that traffic is going to divert to either County Highway E or County Highway N in order to get onto to 441. We need to recognize that and be able to plan for that when it happens.
So the question is, so there will be no noise barrier between County S and Southbridge in De Pere?
That is correct. There is currently, no new noise barrier was identified as being reasonable and feasible further north than, you know, in that area from S to County Highway F.
All right. Was access to 141 from Meade Street considered?
Oh, to I-41. Oh,
yeah,
no additional new accesses to I-41 were considered during the environmental phase of the project. Just very briefly, I-41 is an interstate highway. New access to an interstate highway requires going through an interstate access justification process, which is typically for any new access points is something that is initiated locally. From the Wisconsin Department's transportation side of things, we didn't see a benefit to a new interstate access at any locations that we pursued.
Will the pavement cuts on the roadway be perpendicular as normal, or will they be diagonal and to reduce noise? I think this maybe has a little bit to kind of a similar question that was before, but this is not timing. This is actually the jointing. I think they're talking about jointing.
Yeah, and the jointing along the main line would be typical jointing, usually perpendicular to the roadway.
Thanks for the information. Any update on being able to make right turns on red signals at the new diamond interchanges when leaving I-41?
No updates right now in terms of our policies on allowing right turns at right turns on red at our diverging diamond interchanges. But on the design side, we are designing the interchanges or the diverging diamond interchanges in order to accommodate and have decent vision, good sight vision, if that were to be allowed in the future, recognizing that that is a potential. On the project side, we wouldn't be the ones making that decision to allow that, but we are designing to accommodate that if it if it is allowed in the future.
We've caught up. I think there's a couple new ones coming in, so I'll wait a few minutes here, but we've a lot of good questions so far. All right, new questions. So why are diverging diamond interchange planned for construction for Highway 15 and 00, Highway 47 and Ballard? That's one question. And then the second question is why are the Meade Street and County A, the Lindale Drive structures remaining in place?
Sure. Is that all one question?
I think it's two separate ones.
Sure, sure. I will start with the diverging diamond interchange question. So diverging diamonds are being proposed at Highway 15, Highway 47, and County Highway E, predominantly because diverging diamond interchanges, it's another tool in our toolbox. It's not, DOT built roundabouts, and so for a while, and now we like to build DDIs. We're still building roundabouts on this project, for instance. But the diverging diamond interchange is very good for large volumes of left turn movements onto the overall mainline system. And at all three of these locations, we have those high volumes of left turning movements that are taking place today. These are all areas where that left turn onto 41 is that heavy movement. That diverging diamond interchange only requires that left turning vehicle that's going onto the highway. It only requires that vehicle go through one signalized intersection. That signalized intersection is a simple two-phase intersection. Does not allow for an additional left turn phase. And once they're through that first phase, they can free flow onto the freeway. So where we have those large left turning volumes, we see the diverging diamond interchange as a great tool for having high vehicle or high traffic capacity through the interchange. And I will also add, just in terms of the process that we went through, we go through what's called our intersection control evaluation process in order to land on the diverging diamond interchanges, where we looked at how, from different metrics of operations and safety, real estate impacts, environmental impacts, what are the pros and cons of diverging diamond versus a traditional signalized intersection versus a roundabout interchange, or roundabout intersections. And again, that was kind of one of the main metrics that led to the DDIs being the diverging diamonds jumping to the top of the list at these locations, was that high volume of the left turns. They're also very safe intersections. They accommodate pedestrians and bicyclists very well, with most of those movements also being signalized. So we think they're very good selections for these locations.
So the other part of that question,
yep,
which was separate, but why are the Meade Street and Lindale Drive structures remaining in place?
Sure. So Meade Street and Lindale structures are remaining in place for the most part, just because we don't need to reconstruct those bridges for the work that we're doing on I-41 below. Those are, say, newer bridges. They were built late 90s, early 2000s, I believe. And they can accommodate the additional width of I-41 below. They don't have the shoulder piers like the older 60 vintage bridges do. And we're not doing any work on Lindale or Meade Street themselves that require replacing the bridges either. So we were able to leave those bridges in place.
Got another one coming in.
they can accommodate the additional.
We've caught up.
Yeah, these are great questions. Thank you, everyone.
Any new drawings or images of what the Richmond Street interchange will look like?
I can show. Yep. So just very briefly, this is the Richmond Street or Highway 47 interchange. Very similar to what we've shown previously. We are planning to cul-de-sac Association Drive still, which is an access change that we've previously showed at this location. Constructing the diverging diamond interchange here.
And all these displays are on our website, so if people want to take a little harder look at them, definitely can do that at any time.
Yeah, they're displays that they're not even smaller, like with the additional text like the slide. They're displays that are just showing the kind of the line work for the roadway. So can engine braking be restricted in emergency situations to reduce noise? Not sure if this is where to ask the question, but thought I'd throw it out there. So yeah, so by I think Wisconsin DOT policy, we will not sign for no engine braking along a state facility or the state or the interstate highways. That is so that we don't want to be, say, the culpable partner if there is an incident and a truck does not engine brake. I think that's the reason for that policy. But that is what the policy is, that we just will not sign that or do that no engine braking signing along a state facility.
Yeah, has to be something that is passed by the local authorities, and then because it also has to be enforced by the local authorities. So that's also the other thing is if so anytime those signs go up, it has to be through those different avenues. But yeah, interstates and stuff are exempt from that. So far, give it some time. If anybody's got something out there, please type them in. So far, great questions.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in. Maybe we've answered everyone's questions. Wait. Two more minutes here for people to type in if they think of one last minute, but right now we're have any new ones. Oh, we got one coming in. So during construction, most projects have contractors crushing materials for their projects. Will this be allowed in this here on 41?
Yeah. So yeah, the short answer is yes. We will allow crushing of material. Contractors typically reuse the material that's there from the existing pavement. They reuse that and can use it as part of new aggregate or new other new material. And we allow and typically encourage that because it tends to lower overall bid prices for the work to be done.
Is this 23-mile stretch expansion project going to be broken up into segments like the 14-mile stretch of Interstate 43 north-south reconstruction project in Milwaukee and Ozaukee counties?
Sure. Yeah, and kind of I'll even jump back to what I had showed before for that main line. Yeah, so in terms of the work on the main line itself, it is going to be broken into different segments of work that the public is definitely going to perceive. And really the reason for doing this is that bidding this out as one giant project, one, isn't practical, given both the annual funding constraints of the majors program that this is funded through, and also just the bidding environment and who we would expect to bid on projects of that size compared to breaking it into smaller pieces, which can be more competitively bid, which can result in lower prices for the work. And that's why we need to break these larger projects into several segments, like you see.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate the update comment. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. What about the pedestrian bridge at the tech school?
Yep. So the pedestrian bridge that kind of goes from the Fox Valley Tech over to the Timber Rattler Stadium area, that bridge will remain in place as part of the project. We have enough room underneath again to widen the roadway and do our work there. So no work really anticipated to happen at the bridge itself. Should remain in operation through the construction.
Yes, the exact same question, so I think we answered both of those. Good. And we've caught up again. Another question is, how far south down 441 from the north side connection to 41 will the modifications of the interchange go?
Sure. So yeah, I think what we talked about the guys again for all the slide skipping. But basically it will, the project limit is basically County Highway 00. Get that in a little bit more detail. Coming up here. I guess it doesn't show all the way down, but basically it will go down to, yeah, to say County 00 itself. We won't be doing any work along County Highway 00 as part of the project, but we will be reconstructing the ramps that are on the north side of the interchange. We'll also be doing a little bit of bridge widening on the southbound bridge that goes over on 441 that goes over 00. And then a little bit of widening a little bit further to the south. But for the most part, County 00 is that limit that we're not doing much work beyond.
We don't have any new comments coming in. Oh, there's one new response to the pedestrian bridge that it's not going away is his dogs thank you. Must uses the bridge often, so yep. Another one coming, I think. Will 41 south of 15 to Neenah be resurfaced?
It will not be resurfaced as part of our project. There is a project. Yeah, there is a project that will be happening from a Northeast Region Wisconsin DOT project that is happening. Slide here.
It'll be a rehab project, so jump repairs and bridge rehabs, and that's next year.
So there's that rehab work that would be going from roughly Reeswood Lane up to Highway 15. So
yep, that we have occurring in 2024. So that's a pretty big job, but it's not associated with the umbrella under this 41 project, but it is a DOT region project.
Yeah. So basically, it'll improve the pavement that's out there today, but it won't be doing anything new reconstruction type of activity.
What is the plan for Rose Hill Bridge, height and lane width? Will there be a noise barrier? Well, let's answer that one first. What is the plan for Rose Hill Bridge height and lane width?
Yeah, so Rose Hill Road is being reconstructed. It will be a 2-lane roadway right now. It will be a 2-lane roadway still. There will be additional width on the bridge over I-41 to accommodate pedestrian or bike access in the future that could connect to it in the future. We don't want to be that kind of that choke point in the future. It will be a transitional urban section through that area on the approaches where we'll be constructing curb and gutter instead of the more rural ditch that just goes off. So it'll be a little bit wider up there on CC, but for the most part, similar to what's out there today. I mean, the bridge itself will be a little longer because of the work on 41. It'll be a little bit higher because of the work on 41 below.
Will there be noise barrier between County N and Rose Hill?
There is no noise barrier proposed between County Highway and Rose Hill as part of that. There will be noise barrier a little bit to the further to the east. As you approach Highway 55, there will be noise barrier, but not between County N and Rose Hill.
Jeffy says thank you. And then will Evergreen Drive be affected by the 41 project?
We're not currently proposing to do any work on Evergreen Drive as part of the overall 41 project.
We've caught up. Got a little more stuff on the rehab project, so it'll be April of next year through November of next year. So pretty much all season, 9 miles of rehab or fixing deteriorating concrete barrier, culverts, polymer overlays of the bridges. So quite a bit of work. Involve a pretty substantial amount of work. So just a little more information on that bridge or the project that's south of this project. Since the work is weather dependent, will it most likely be subject to change if there ever were to happen, if this ever were to happen going forward? If it's subject to change, I think just are the schedules subject to change based off of weather?
Yeah, and in terms of, as we get into the details and construction actually starts and there's an anticipated, ramp closure that's going to happen, or work over a weekend that's going to happen. Certainly weather is always a factor and things like that, and always change the plans. So we try to account for that and try to provide that flex in the overall schedule to account for those delays that we can expect.
And since there'll be a lot of bridge and structure work, there will most likely also be winter work, which is about the only thing that you can really do in the wintertime. So there will be work possibly all year, 12 months out of the year, depending on the project and depending on the location. So, but obviously mainly during the summer will be the busiest time. I've caught up. Good questions, Brad. We're almost at 40 questions. Pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
A few more minutes to people to ask some questions. No new ones are coming in as of yet. Another one came in and said, thank you for the great update, and please let the peer chamber know that we can do what we can do to help assist with getting future updates out there. That. Another one came in, will bike lanes be added to the Capitol Drive overpass? Bike lanes.
Yeah, so yeah, there will be the roadway itself at Capitol Drive will be wide enough for an on-street bike accommodation. And then there will also be separated sidewalk on the structure itself on the approach or over 41. So bikes will be accommodated on the new Capitol Drive overpass.
Next question is, just kind of build on that. It's just bike lanes on the overpass. There's not going to be sidewalk along the roadway up at Capitol Drive, though. We'll be putting sidewalk on the bridge, but there will be no sidewalk on the road. New question is the height of the sound barriers consistent, or does it depend on the amount of noise reduction needed?
Yeah, so we try to design the barrier to say achieve a certain decibel reduction. I think it's kind of the average is around 8 decibels, 8 or 9 decibels within a given area. So we try to design the height of the barrier in order to achieve that reduction. And that's part of this kind of noise analysis process, is getting through the details on exactly what height of the barrier is going to be, what the final height of the barrier is going to be at all of these locations. And that's information that we anticipate being able to share as part of that kind of the next noise barrier outreach step.
You travel through Brown County, you see that it varies in height depending on the location, and so it'll be, the end will be similar to that, varying heights. Next question is, will 6 lanes with sound barriers be louder or quieter than the current 4 lanes without sound barriers?
I think the short answer, we would anticipate it would still be a reduction in noise based on the barriers being in place compared to no barriers being in place, even without the existing 4 lanes being remaining.
If the noise wall was not reducing any decibels, then it wouldn't qualify to be putting a noise wall there. So that's, the analysis shows that it's going to reduce the noise, and it anticipates the future expansion in that analysis. Questions? Pop back up again. A new one coming in. Why is the 41 and 47 not on the website? Look into that.
Oh, yeah, they'll double check that. And also with this meeting and the meetings later this week going out, typically we'll wait until after that we've held the meetings and before we say upgrade and update all of the displays for what our latest meetings have been. So you may be looking for at this point older displays, and they may not be updated yet for the displays that we're going to have for the meetings tomorrow and Thursday.
But we will double check that and make sure
we'll
that's
definitely. Yeah. By the end of the week, it should all be up to date, and you should be able to find it. And if you can't, please let us know.
So how will the Southbridge Road Connector project play a role within Brown County?
Again, that's work that is predominantly related to activities that Brown County is working on. So we definitely do not want to speak for Brown County. We can say that, we are constructing the interchange to connect to that piece that the county is working on. And then that you'll be able to access that new corridor from that interchange.
They do have a very good website that has all their updates on there, and they have, and I know that they have a plan for, what years things are being built on there, shown on there. So I would recommend going to that website and connecting with them on that. Outside of the interchange, the DOT is just working on the interchange itself. So at 41. So. Again, Scott. No new questions that we've seen so far. We'll give everybody maybe another couple minutes, and then if we don't hear any new stuff, then we'll. Not seeing anything new coming. So one last call for questions. All right.
Yep.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody for attending and for asking the great questions. We will follow up with the ones that the kind of more personalized ones for specific property owners. We'll follow up with them in the next day or two here and look for all this stuff posted, and we will see you at the in-person one also in the next couple of days here, Wednesday and Thursday. So
yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Take care.